Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Mindy and I'm a homeschooling mom to 4 kids. Today I'm going to talk to you about my curriculum hits and misses for my first grade student. So I hope you'll join me. If you watched my curriculum picks for first grade, this one right here, you'll see that I had a lot of things chosen. The first subject that I'm going to talk to you about is math. And math went very well for us this year. My daughter completed the Good and the Beautiful's first grade math program. I did also want to point out that with math, I use a ton of math games in our homeschool to reinforce those skills and concepts. I do plan to do a video on our math games that we use in our homeschool. I just have not had a chance to film that yet. But I do want to highlight 2 games that we play consistently. The first one here is Making Change, and this is geared toward all grade levels. Our son, who is in 8th grade, also plays this just here and there, not as much as my first grader does. So sometimes I'll just pull out a card and I'll say, okay, you're buying this little toy dinosaur. It costs $1.83. Show me $1.83. And then there will be other times where I will ask her to actually make the change. This one is a little bit difficult for her at this point right now. So for instance, she could make the change on this one. If the price of the banana was 45 cents and she gave me 50 cents, how much would I owe her back? Another game that we play is Math Bingo. This works on addition and subtraction skills. Next, I'm going to talk about English language arts. And English language arts is very important to me. I have a master's in literacy, so this is something that I put a huge emphasis on in our homeschool because I think that it is a crucial skill for the kids to have in order to function in the world. And I just have this passion for literature and good books. So our English language arts program for my first grader is kind of crazy, and let's get into it. If you've been following our journey at all, you'll know that when my daughter was in pre-K and kindergarten, I had a rough time finding a curriculum that I thought met her needs and that was working for her. She already came into pre-K knowing her letters. She didn't know the letter sounds yet, maybe a handful of them, but moving into pre-K, she already knew those. So I didn't want something that was just gonna repeat that. I wanted something that was a little bit more challenging. Anyway, so I stumbled upon the Good and the Beautiful last year with her, and we went through the Good and the Beautiful Level K program. This year we did Level 1. But because I had issues finding a curriculum for her in kindergarten, we are only about halfway through this program here for Level 1. And honestly, like, that's not a big deal to me. Like, it doesn't matter that because this says Level 1, she must finish it in her first grade year. But honestly, we're on lesson, I think, like 60, which is about halfway through the program. So when we begin our second grade year, we are going to be starting with this, and I'm perfectly okay with that. So I want to talk to you about something that absolutely didn't work for her. So this right here, the 6+ traits, did not work for us. And I honestly did like this when I was teaching public school. I thought this was an effective method, especially as you are moving up in the grade levels. I did use this for my son in 5th and 6th grade, the 5th and 6th grade version. So it is a good, solid writing curriculum to get you started. And so I noticed with the Good and the Beautiful, they really didn't have a lot of writing. And for her, I wanted her to be doing more writing than what was in the Good and the Beautiful. However, we did not get through this. We did maybe the first 2 weeks. I think there's like 36 weeks in here. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, 29. There's 29 weeks in here. I went through and I figured it out, but it just was too much for us. And so I just kind of had her write sentences, you know, here and there as we were writing stories together. We did a lot of writing together. So I pretty much kind of threw this to the wayside. I will hold on to this, however, to see if it'll work for my kindergartner. I don't know, but this didn't fit into our schedule. It was too much, so I ditched this. Also with the Good and the Beautiful, I don't really feel like their spelling program is up to par for my standards, I guess. And I kind of hate to say it that way, but it's only because I have used this program when I started homeschooling my son. I started with this program, loved the program, and I thought I'm going to use that with my daughter when she is just learning how to spell. So even though we do the components of spelling in The Good and the Beautiful, I wanted her to be doing a more rigorous program. And so I did get Spelling UC level B for her. Last year, she did do level A. She didn't even finish the whole entire curriculum for level A, and I decided to move on to level B. I'm not really sure why I did that, but it comes with 2 books. So there's part 1 and then part 2. And so this year we finished part 1 only, and I'm okay with that. That is 18 lessons worth of spelling. And so I'll just kind of give you a glimpse into what it's like. It uses nursery rhymes, and then there's like a spelling pattern that you have to figure out what it is. So for instance, this page here, they're reading this and needed them to look for the EDs. So you highlight them with colors, you write it, and then you spell some words. And it progresses. So it's a progressive spelling curriculum. So let me see here. Okay, so in this lesson, she was looking for and identifying all the silent E's. And so she was highlighting them with an orange colored pencil here, copying a sentence. And then over here was writing some words. And I don't know why this is so gross. Sorry, but yeah. So she wrote some words here. As we are moving into 2nd grade, I'm going to be using book 2, level B as part of our spelling program for 2nd grade. And if she flies through this, then I'll move on to level C. But guys, I have 4 kids. I am teaching 3 different levels. I can't have 1,000 different components. So this year I've given myself like permission to like breathe and not feel like I have to be on level just because they're in this grade. I'm letting them go at their pace, what works best for our schedule, what works best for when things come up, things like that. So giving myself a lot of grace this year and as we move into next school year as well. I also did purchase for handwriting practice, Cheney's Easy Peasy letter writing. My daughter did not do that consistently. Last year, what I ended up doing was buying her the kindergarten book for handwriting. She loved that. And so when she finished that kindergarten handwriting book for Christmas, I got the kids the next level. So I did get her the level 1 handwriting book. I'll just show you what a couple of the pages looks like. So for instance, this is one of the early pages. I mean, she just likes this because there's different activities in here, and my other daughter loves hers as well. So for instance, there's like coloring, there's trace what this shape is in the box, and things like that. And so, yeah, it's just a little more fun than Cheney's, I guess. Cheney's didn't really work out for us. So she does love The Good and the Beautiful's handwriting pages, books, whatever you want to call them, books, right? They're books. And so we have not finished this yet. She's just going to keep moving at her own pace. Again, I don't care what level she's at for this, we'll just keep on moving into the next level when she finishes that level. I did purchase the 2nd grade one for when she does this because I think that we're probably going to keep going with this in the summertime. Okay, lastly for English language arts, as you can see, The Good and the Beautiful is kind of like my spine or my core or whatever you want to call that. That is the main thing that we do for our language arts skills and concepts and things like that. I also want you to know that I do use the Gentle and Classical Press, their Christmas, Gentle and Classical Christmas, and then a Gentle and Classical Easter, but also like the very beginning of fall, spring, summer, winter, I do go to our local library and I get a huge stack of books. I do have a couple of videos on my channel highlighted about our favorite books that we read. So we do tons of read alouds with picture books and chapter books. And we are also working our way through the Little House series. Last year we read Little House in the Big Woods, And this year we are on Little House on the Prairie, so we are slowly making our way through this series also. So as you can see, there are many different components, many different parts, many different curriculums to our English Language Arts program, and that, guys, is just what works best for our family. I am not saying at all that you have to do all those things. I'm not saying that it is the best thing on earth, because everybody has a different situation, different number of kids, a different environment, and different ways that their kids learn. That is just what works best for our family. Moving into science. So again, if you watched my first grade picks videos, you'll know that I chose Little Hearts and Hands, Fields and Flowers. This is something that has worked for us. We have been moving through this. We did not finish everything up this year, which is perfectly fine again, but we are going to be doing this a little bit in the summer, and so we will finish this one up. I did purchase for next year for second grade, and then also for my daughter moving into kindergarten, the two other Little Hearts and Hands for science, Sparks and Stars, which I did a video on, a flip through, and I'll link that right here and down below in the cards. And then also Wind and Waves. And I am so excited about those curriculums. I can't wait. We might even dive into them in the summer. There was something that didn't work for us for science this year, and that was these kits here. Now, I did do these kits with my daughter when she was in kindergarten, pre-K kindergarten, and they worked out very well. While I love these and their experiments, it didn't really pan out for us this year. It's just for a plethora of reasons, but mostly because my baby has turned into a toddler, and getting out all of these pieces all over the table and creating like a mess, it just did not work out. There were a handful of days where we did break these kits out, and then we did a lot of the activities. We just had like a science morning if my husband were to take the baby or toddler with him, and then, you know, she wasn't climbing all over the table, getting into all the things, messing up the chemical reactions and things like that. And so, yeah, these didn't work for us. I am planning to keep them and hang on to them for times where we can just kind of pull them out here and there and work on some of the experiments, but we didn't do them consistently. It just wasn't in the cards for us this year. For health, we mostly focus on the human body right now and things like that. And so I use the Usborne books because I just think they're phenomenal. So I have two books that I absolutely love. This one here is like a flap book. So you open it up and you can take a look at all the different parts of whatever it's going to show you. So this is pretty cool. All about the human body. And then this one is kind of like a younger version. So this worked well for my kindergartner. This here. And then I just supplement that with a lot of activities that I find from Teachers Pay Teachers or Kids in the Health website. We just really talk about feeding our body with good foods and not consuming a lot of junk food, trying to eat the colors of the rainbow. So my girls will go to the grocery store with me and I'll tell them, let's pick fruits and vegetables and get every color of the rainbow and just things like that. So we don't have or use a specific health curriculum. We just kind of get books that are related to things that I want to teach them about their body and about living healthy. Lastly is history. And if you follow me, you know that I love and adore Knotgrass history. So for my first grader, we did our 50 states. And so I did do a video on this one right here. I also used From Adam to Us for my 8th grader. And I also have a video review on that, this one right here. For history, this is like our spine. I'm breaking this up over the course of 2 years. This year we are only going down to Florida. And so we have not finished this yet, but we're getting there. This is something we'll probably go into the summer, and that's perfectly okay. And when we start second grade officially, I'm going to start with Michigan and then finish out this book. But again, I love Knotgrass history. I cannot say enough good things about them. This is just a history curriculum that has fit well for our family's needs. And while I love Knotgrass history, there was a component in our 50 states that we just didn't use because we just didn't have time for it. And so that was the lesson review here. we started out doing this. We didn't make it very far. And so this wasn't like a huge important thing for me. It just wasn't. And so I didn't use this, mostly because we didn't have time to do that. But I did use the other component, which was the Atlas book. This is the Atlas book right here. And what the Atlas book has is, for instance, Maryland. It always gives you the state symbols, and then it gives you a list of things to color on the map. And so my daughter loves doing that, and so we consistently have done this. The other page is usually something that we kind of hit or miss. It's usually a vocabulary word related to whatever it is. This one was estuary, and then you color this here. Sometimes we do them, and sometimes we don't. So you can see that we did this one here. She never wrote the word tide, but we talked about it. But then also for history, I do get, again, from the library, a lot of books. So for instance, when President's Day is coming up, I will get books on her level about Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, a big book of presidents, and we'll just kind of sit through and read those together. Homeschool Compass will email me things that they have coming out related to holidays. So for instance, Memorial Day is coming up, and they have a couple of free activities for the kids. So that is something that we also put under the umbrella of history. So we will talk about what is Memorial Day, why do we celebrate it, we'll do a little craft, we'll do a little activity, and that, you know, is part of our history program. Okay, that about wraps it up. If you have any questions, please let me know down below in the comments. And like I mentioned earlier, this seems like a ton of curriculum. Honestly, it is a ton of curriculum, and that is why we break it apart at our pace. And I really want to encourage you that every family is different, unique. We all have different circumstances. Just do what works for you, your child's learning style, your workload, how many kids you have at home. Do what works best for you. If you have any questions about any of the curriculum that I've highlighted here, or if you want me to clarify anything else I've talked about in the video, please drop a comment down below, and I really hope you'll consider subscribing. See you next time.